Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans this weekend, and they might be without a few starters. The latest injury report is out from Thursday, and it's more bad news. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, again, did not practice, nor did Alvin Kamara or Terron Armstead. Those three starters were out on Thursday. Ty Montgomery and Carl Granderson were both limited. Mike Triplett of ESPN.com joins us. Mike, thanks as always. How are you?
Doing good. Just riding these waves, body surfing through these waves of this Saints season. Sometimes it's exhilarating. Sometimes it knocks you down. You just got to stay on your toes, man.
Dude, it is so weird, man, for sure. But let's look at those three. I mean, the most obvious is going to be Kamara. What can you tell us, man? I mean, 2 days in a row not practicing. They signed a running back earlier this week. Are we to assume he's not going to play on Sunday?
I don't know if we're there yet. I have not heard that he's definitely not playing, but he's definitely in jeopardy of not playing. I think the good news is that I have not heard suggestions that it's a significant injury that could keep him out for a long time, but still very much up in the air for this week.
So if Alvin Kamara, let's just deal with the hypothetical here, okay? I mean, because we at least have to discuss it. If Kamara's not a go, what does that mean for the Saints on Sunday against Tennessee?
Well, the 31st ranked passing offense in the NFL will lose their number one target. Now, look, I feel really good about Mark Ingram as a backup option, though. If it's just a week or 2 weeks, I think Ingram could be a 25-touch guy, and he can catch the ball and he can pass protect. I think that position's in good hands. He's not Alvin Kamara, though, and Alvin Kamara has been this entire offense, and Alvin Kamara is the best way to help them have any sort of a passing offense, which has obviously been the biggest issue. But that is, much better backup option than they had a couple weeks ago. And Taysom Hill's healthy now, too. And I expect to see a lot more Taysom Hill in this game, too.
Terron Armstead's also interesting because when he was out earlier this year, James Hurst filled in for him. Well, Andrus Pete's out, so Hurst is filling in for him. So if Armstead can't go, what do they do at left tackle?
It would probably be Hurst, and then Calvin Throckmorton would probably play at guard, I would think. I'm more optimistic that Armstead will play. We've seen him in his uniform at the beginning of practice, just before they break down into stretch, which we've seen with him before. He does have a second injury listed now, so he might be a little bit more banged up than usual, but ideally he'll be all right. Yeah, you don't want to be down two starters on the offensive line, but Calvin Throckmorton did fill in well at guard earlier this year, and Hurst has filled in well at left tackle this year, so they might be okay there. But yeah, it's starting to add up. I see where you're going here.
These are all questions that have to be had right now. I mean, they're very, very thin how they're transpiring. Then what about quarterback? So the good news, Taysom Hill played, and he appears healthy, and I would presume this week healthier than last. So do we see an expanded role for Taysom Hill against Tennessee?
How could we not? I mean, he completed 2 passes and had 1 run, and he was in for 2 more plays that looked like they had the potential to be interesting. I was really interested to see him run the ball out of that empty formation after they had set him up, and it was I believe, was it a false start on that one? And then the 4th and 1, he was going to run the ball, and it was encroachment against the Falcons. But, so he was a little involved, but he's got to be more involved than that. We still don't officially know who's starting at quarterback, to be honest. They've kept that close to the vest. I have to think it's probably Simeon after he's played so well, but either way, there has to be more Taysom Hill, because I still think he's a good weapon for any team that the Saints have had, healthy or not. But for this team that needs playmakers so bad, they've got to find ways to use him more than they did last week.
Mike Triplett's with us. I want to dig a little deeper. You said since Simeon's played so well, I wouldn't put last week entirely on him because there were a lot of drops. But, if there was sort of a chink in the armor, maybe last week kind of exposed it a little bit. So would you mind just elaborating a little bit on your opinion of watching Simeon so far through his his first start there?
Yeah, I thought he was playing pretty well in the first half when they had 0 points, and it was all those stop passes, but he was delivering pretty good passes, I thought. And then certainly in the fourth quarter, with those 2 touchdown drives that he put together that gave them the lead and a chance to win that game, it just would surprise me to see him get benched after that performance. But yeah, obviously he's not Aaron Rodgers out there. And if this team is stuck in the mud, then you obviously have that, well, we've got to try Taysom Hill game plan, because we've just got to try something else at some point if the passing game isn't delivering. But I think Trevor Siemian has exceeded expectations in the last game and a half. And if you had a cast of characters around him that you trusted more, I think he'd be the least.
Well, it's a pretty good segue into the next talking point, which is Odell Beckham. How much of a push did the Saints make for OBJ, what you're aware of?
Well, I mean, they really were trying to court him and convince him to come here. And I think he seriously considered it. I mean, there were some attractive things they had to offer, which included you would by far and away be the number one receiver here. You know, be treated as the hero coming to save the game in your hometown, if that appeals to you. But obviously there's some things they couldn't compete with, and that's he came down to wanting to play for the Rams and the Packers, who are 2 thriving offenses with thriving quarterbacks in the MVP conversation right now. And you know, the Saints couldn't offer that to him. And they certainly couldn't offer him any money either. So, you know, in the end, I think they came up a little short.
So go 0 for 2. Deshaun Jackson ends up with the Raiders, and Odell ends up out in L.A., where a lot of the reports was going to be Green Bay, the Chiefs, the Saints, and then out of nowhere, here come the Rams. So did the Saints have any possibilities of adding talent to this offense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how excited I would have gotten about Deshaun Jackson joining the Saints, even though he's a big name. I don't think that's exactly what's missing. I think Odell Beckham Jr. would have been a really fascinating addition. Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, I mean, they just released Josh Reynolds, and the Detroit Lions snatched him up right away on the waiver wire. Like, I thought maybe they'd sign him, but that's the caliber of guy we're talking about. There's no Odell was a very random, fascinating example, but that doesn't mean, maybe they'll be, you know, it's not like your fantasy football waiver. There aren't a lot of 3-time Pro Bowlers that come available in November usually.
I think a couple of weeks ago you told us the way you put it was spot on. You said something to the effect of the Saints already have the 75th best receiver on their roster. Like, they've got enough of the 75th best receiver. I don't know if there's that. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, because, I mean, it's not like you need to replace Deontay Harris with Deshaun Jackson. I think we all like the things Deontay Harris brings to the team. I think we like Marquez Callaway. I think Tre'Quan Smith is showing some potential.
Yeah, hold on. No, let's not go there.
But I'm saying to all be to prove they are third receivers in the NFL. Right. None of them is a 1 or a 2, though. And 1 and 2s aren't available.
I agree. Tre'Quan Smith is just dead to me. Whatever. I mean, if he never puts on a uniform again, I'm fine. All right, Tennessee. Possibility maybe that they have a little bit of a letdown after the big win in prime time, and the Saints maybe Sean Payton gave out the yo-yos a month ago, and that it really hadn't helped. Maybe you have 2 teams, Saints bounce back, Titans letdown spot.
I was fully prepared to pick the Saints to win this game before the Alvin Kamara injury crept up, because I've learned my lesson. I think I'm something like 2-6 picking Saints games this year. If they're the underdog, I'm picking them from now on. But then, you know, if Kamara is banged up or limited or not playing, that makes it even harder to pick the Saints. But absolutely, I mean, Tennessee is not an unbeatable team. A couple weeks ago, they were really struggling, and now they've lost Derrick Henry. They're a team that loves to run the football. The Saints stopped the run. That's something they still have continued to do all year long. I absolutely see a way that the Saints, they play an ugly game and come away. There's really no game on the schedule that I can't see the Saints winning, even with all their missing pieces, because we've seen them do it time and time again. They did. It was just 12 days ago that they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they didn't have that many more players on they have right now.
No. The Titans have won 5 in a row, but they did lose to the Jets. So there's that.
Yeah.
Mike Triplett, he's on Twitter at MikeTriplett, last thing for you, at 5-3, when you do look at the Saints schedule and everything moving forward, how big of a deal is this game in particular?
I don't know how big they are individually, but they can't get in too much of a rut. I mean, basically, heading into last week after they lost Winston and Thomas, it was, still looked at their schedule and thought if they just go 5-5, they're a definite playoff team. And then they lose at home to Atlanta, and it's like, all right, that's one you're really not supposed to drop. So they've got to get one of these 2 road games. I mean, if you tell me they lose to Tennessee but then beat Philadelphia or vice versa, I don't think the which and when matters. But they've really got to be a 500 team to make the playoffs, and obviously we think they can be. They're 2 blown coverages away from being a 7-1 team right now. But they all matter at this point, and this is one I think they can get. There aren't that many on the schedule that I don't think they can get, though.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.